All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Dorohedoro, Season 1, Episode 3. Okay. All right, we just keep
We've got our conflict convergence.
Yep.
These characters are going to clash.
That's right.
There will be blood.
Shin Senpai and Noi are both, one, hilarious and I love them. And
Yes.
they're twisted and brutal and awful, but I love them.
Yes.
But they are also going to get Caiman. They're going into Hole.
Yeah.
That's... I'm sure that will not end in some kind of crazy, gory bloodfest battle to the death.
Yeah. What's exciting about that, though, is that while Caiman is immune to magic, I do not think he is immune to my axe in your face.
Right.
You know?
I cast fist. Yeah. Right. That's and because okay. Normally I'm not as like invested in this, world that someone created, who's stronger,
who's gonna win.
Who's gonna win. But I
really
really want to know. I really want to know.
Because Nikaido, for one, we saw her just do some badass martial arts stuff.
We did.
But Noi be dummy thick. So, like...
Dummy thick. The clap of her ass cheeks will announce their presence
like
long
the riders
before
of
they show
Rohan
up.
thundering their way down the plains of Pelennor.
Exactly.
The
With
Pelennor
her
fields.
thunder thighs and thunder everything.
Like,
yeah.
I can imagine Caiman just getting distracted in the fight. He's just like, whoa!
Death by snoo snoo.
Oh my god.
But,
Yeah.
that being said,
I want them to team up.
I do too.
Personally,
Like,
I just see this as two halves of the D&D party that haven't met yet.
Right. You need
They have to have combat before they can
exactly.
have some.
You got to fight each other, beat the shit out of each other, right? And then when you figure out that doesn't work or something, who knows, then you become best friends, Yeah.
Did we just become friends?
Yep. That's how it works.
I want that to happen, although that probably won't happen necessarily.
The odd couple of couples.
Yeah, it's got a decent chance of happening, but I would say the more likely thing of happening is that Caiman might be in over his head for the first time in a while when it comes to sorcerers,
as opposed to them being in over their heads, with him over their head.
Yeah, exactly. You got it.
Yep.
I was trying to set up the pun, but I just realized in over their head is a little
kind
bit.
of swallowed your tongue.
Right. It got a little bit awkward in there. I choked.
Bit off more than you could chew.
Yeah, right. But, to get to the meat of the matter and really grind our teeth into it here, the other sorcerers involved will be coming as well. Like, they'll be there, with stuff with Ebisu and then with Fujita, I believe.
Are they going along? I forget.
I believe
because they got
along.
they got what they looked like from the two imposter shapeshifter assassins that got turned into mushrooms. So I can't remember.
I believe they're going to be coming along as well.
I would definitely love that, because let's throw more ridiculous comedy into the mix, because why not?
Because why not? Whole be crazy. The whole thing. So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Whoa!
As if they don't
Some
have
kind
to
of
do that every day
passive
already.
spell that just gives everyone their worst nightmare. Day of the Living Dead. Oh my god.
Okay. All right, they have slogans for this too. So not only are Shin and Noi going to fight them, but it's probably going to be during one of the craziest times that they could possibly fight as well.
Duel in front of the Central Department Store.
Okay.
Hell yeah. Yes, this OP. I am falling
so
more and more in love
good.
with it as we get it. Like, more and more.
And I love that in this show, in this crazy show, we start with just a genuine cooking montage.
Yeah, of course.
And it looks wonderful, right? Yeah.
Because the thing about, OPs is that they correlate in no way into something that was a part of the source material. This is just the animators and the whole studio basically just having fun with the resources they're given because of the show itself.
I mean, they did have a mushroom there, but
yeah. I love her Tintin looking basic face.
Yeah.
While just
this show is so dark, but so hilarious with how it handles its darkness.
ASMR, the episode?
Oh.
Oh.
So humans can become sorcerers.
Builds character.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Wow. Just no face. Oh. Oh,
my
man.
God. Oh, dang.
Corazon, okay.
Okay, maybe they aren't going.
Wow.
Oh. Gotcha. Skull plates, maybe? Oh. So the dead walk.
Yep.
Zombies. All right, zombie apocalypse time. Let's go.
Yeah.
The dead rise. Let's do this. I literally was joking about the my axe in your face, and now they're literally using axes.
And then they just salt them? Okay.
Should have just stuck with the axe, buddy.
Yeah. Now, do they know that there are zombies?
Maybe they don't. That would be funny.
I mean, they'll be fine either way, but like...
Dine and dash. Okay, so Ebisu just... Oh, no, Ebisu's back there, so they are all coming, yeah.
Okay.
Right, because they did mention that in the
Right.
previous episode. Okay.
Although if he's from the hole, he probably remembers this, right?
Like, yeah, it's kind of a zombie, yeah? They
They
don't know! Yep.
Oh my god.
Oh, here we go.
Wow.
2.5 hours later, pulverized
Yep.
everything. So he's cutting them right around the neck so that she can collect all they can both collect all the plates.
All
Okay.
right, cool.
Yeah, but you have to
Wow.
get so many fast enough that someone else doesn't take that meat grinder.
Yes.
It's competition. Oh,
I
he's
love
still
that-
alive.
This feels like a Chuck E. Cheese or something where it's the how many tickets can we get to get the prize we want.
Of course. Chuck E. Cheese is the ultimate capitalism business model, Jacob.
And it is a zombie apocalypse.
Yep, exactly. Oh. Crap.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, shit. All right, use the poison ball. You can do it.
And
You can do it.
wait,
Oh, it's just cutting
What?
away.
cup of noodles, cup of ramen. Well.
Yep, okay. Wow.
Oh God! Save Ebisu!
Will Ebisu turn into a zombie then?
2 1v1s. Oh my God. He's got his hammer. Oh,
Yeah,
crap. Whoa.
Oh.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. Be my friend. I love it. Both is good.
Jeez.
Oh!
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 Oh! What are these hits?
Yeah. Oh! Oh! Oh!
Oh, those sounded bad. That was quick. Whoa.
All right.
Whoa.
Okay. Yep.
Oh.
Just like that.
Oh.
Yep.
Nom. Whoa. Oh, God. Oh, my God.
Wow.
Oh!
Oh! Oh! What? So what's inside?
Oh God! Whoa!
Wait,
Whoa!
really?
Whoa. Oh my God! She just went through a door, dude.
Yeah.
I still have the knife in my heart, but you know.
Yeah.
That's so bad.
Oh my God, I love it.
No. Episode, no. This is madness.
Wow.
Madness. Okay, so they just doored to another place in Hull. Okay.
But that means that this person would see they came out of a door.
He doesn't know, though.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Oh, still making the gyotza.
That gives new context on when she said that the sorcerer's magic was so weak.
Yeah.
Oh.
Whoa. Noi cleans up.
Yeah.
I love the little plate on her head, on Ebisu's head, of like what number, like a
I
research
didn't notice that.
thing and stuff. Whoa!
Oh.
Nice dream. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Gotcha. So that was his job at the his job that he ended up taking. Okay. Wow. Okay, so there's a brain in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rigor mortis and everything.
Uh-oh. Oh no.
Literally in the hospital and everything.
They're doing the horror stuff.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh shit, is he hallucinating? Oh my God, I'm getting chills, dude.
This is
Yep.
Wow, okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh my God, I'm
love
so
it.
freaking
I
out right
love it.
now.
This is great. This is great.
Long dark hallways, man, are the stuff of
The head's gone.
gone.
This
Oh
is
my
why,
God.
Caleb, you keep it on a stake in a case, and if it ever leaves,
The camera. Oh, nice.
okay. Oh, fun.
Magically fueled. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, it
Oh,
transforms? Wait, what?
A broom. Is this new
Yeah,
visuals?
yeah, definitely
okay,
new.
Yeah. I love it.
No,
Just, going on a quaint, jaunty
because
little
remember the
stroll.
previous one was the dark hallway with the doors coming past.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
right.
This one's very different. Yeah.
They're definitely gonna end up friends at some
Oh, yeah.
point. Like, even if it's just
Noi
frenemies.
literally said it. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
be my friend.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Oh, boy.
I gotta say though, Noi, you looking fantastic. You clean
Yes.
up very nicely.
Yep. The
Love
bun
the
is a good
earring,
look.
Tattoos.
Yeah.
Tattoos, piercings.
But man, this episode is insane. There
Yeah.
were some pretty crazy twists. All in all, I would say not only was it dark, but it was also heady. And this is why
I would say actually this episode was a little bit less dark than normal because it didn't feel as much like correlating to the like kind of societal issues of the whole.
Well, it didn't stay dark. It was dark for a little bit at key moments.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
And it kind of surprised us, but yeah.
But it felt more like the Caiman is not experiencing things as they really are at times.
Yeah. I gotta say
That was not a dream when he was asleep. That was a hallucination or or maybe something that really happened.
Right. That could have been a memory or a dream or whatever, but then the thing that happened in the hospital, that actually happened. Part of it was caught on camera.
Yep.
This is why in my whole thing of, to have the head on a spike in a glass case, like in a reinforced glass case, it's not just that you have that, you also keep it by your bedside and watch it to make sure that the head doesn't move.
So nothing
So nothing changes.
Yeah.
Nothing changes. And lo
This
and
is
behold,
why.
this is why.
The DM sends a very terrifyingly strange encounter that you don't know the basis of for what's going on.
Love it.
It's so good.
Like and like okay, there were so many things I loved in this episode. One, I love the stuff with the head and everything. That was great. That is a really good.
Getting ripped off by a hammer.
Yeah, getting ripped off by a hammer. It's a great complication on this, sort of main plot progression storyline bit. But then on top of that, the actual fight between Caiman, Nikaido, and then Shin and Noi, that was wonderful. I love it.
Yeah,
I love
really
that
good.
Noi is just like, hey, you want to be friends? Oh wait, no, I do have to kill you.
Well,
darn.
okay.
Yeah, that's a problem. But then we got that ED, and it's like, oh yeah, they're gonna be friends by the end of this.
Oh, I sincerely hope so.
It is going to happen.
I want this awkward, dumb group of people to have to like bust out of hole and like take on his gang and everything like that. That'd be so good.
But we also
Yeah.
got a zombie apocalypse thing that was basically like a Chuck E. Cheese's trick-or-treating, like, just...
Oh, yeah, this happens, every once in a while.
Yeah, it happens every year. It's a fun thing. It's a festival. Everyone gets stuff that they all...
We monetize it.
We monetize it, and people people put up stands and everything, and like...
Carnival
It's
event,
a carnival.
basically.
Like,
Oh my
God, I
God.
love it. Like,
So
it's because
stupidly good.
it's so stupidly good, but the thing is, we also had real danger with the zombie apocalypse. Ebisu was turned into a zombie.
Yeah.
Right? Now Noi might be able to heal her, but people die in this, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's brutal, just like the rest of this world, and yet it's just it's an event.
It's played for laughs at times.
Yep.
It's so funny, the idea of someone being like, yes, I'm going to design a ball of poison that looks like meat. And I will
feed
make
it to the zombies.
eat it.
Yep.
It's an instant kill. So I don't have to risk my weak-ass arms,
Yep.
getting caught in the, clavicle chest cavity of a zombie with my axe and, die because one of them bites my shoulder or something.
Right. Yeah, like and I love it because the whole idea of doing that, like that they're so comfortable with the idea of just fighting zombies.
Oh, yeah.
That sure, why not?
Sure.
But then yes, I'm going to not use, an axe, right? I'm going to try and get them to eat a meatball that's poisonous, because also
The alchemist artificer is like, this
Right.
is my genius plan, guys, and the barbarian's just like, bruh, just let me just walk in front. You guys can pick up the dog tags.
because the
and we'll be
magical
good."
thing that's already dead will be affected by poison. Now, if they're affected by getting chopped up
It's a
and
special
stuff,
kind of poison. It's magical, and
Yes.
we saw
Well,
it works. It worked,
it did end up working.
It's not literal, just like it kills you poison. It's
I mean, it probably is.
yeah, it
Since
might
I
have been
don't
a
think
really
he's a sorcerer,
right, but
yeah.
it might have been a really strong acid that
Yep.
burns away their spinal cord or something.
And given the fact that they're able to cut these zombies up to kill them, who's to say that a poison wouldn't work too?
Yeah, of course.
Because otherwise you'd never be able to kill them. Like,
Yeah.
you'd have to have something
Right.
that kills them.
But this is just some wacky addition in the world combined with monks in tennis shoes that are going around throwing
salting the zombies.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's right. They would hit them with the salt. Wait, hold on. So that poison actually maybe
Yeah.
it has salt properties. Yeah. But
yes.
it's a
Just
sodium
don't get
based
salty
poison.
about the realism of this, because this is a world, Jacob,
Oh.
with chaotic magic constantly at play
I
that
love it.
leads to nonsense. I mean,
Right.
absolute nonsense happening that these characters who have lived here for a long time just have to deal with.
Yep.
And yet, we have one of the most beloved characters in the setting, Nikaido, having hid her identity as a sorcerer
Yep.
all this time, especially from Caiman up until now, because one, he's got a relationship with sorcerers. It's a little bit awkward. She can't just tell him that because he might kill her.
Well,
Yet
and
they're
also
friends for
even
all this
worse,
time.
even worse if he doesn't. Even worse than killing her, he might never ask for her gyoza again,
Yeah.
and that's something that is unacceptable.
Yeah, because these
So-
people don't seem to have that many friends,
Nope.
really.
How can you in a world like this?
Well,
like,
you need at least a few. One of them needs to be a doctor. Thankfully, we got a doc
Right.
here who's
yeah, but you also need them to be badasses, so that way they can stick around and you can actually build connection with them and they don't just die
week to week, and
right. Yeah,
you can count on them being
oh
there.
yeah, all my friends died again this on Tuesday.
Last week,
Yeah, exactly. Anybody else want to be friends? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that just sounds awkward.
Cut my throat in my sleep and steal all my stuff, are you? No, of course not. Oh, good. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, right. So, I love that. Like, there was just so much stuff that happened in this episode, and it's just like, okay, yes, like this world just
We're moving on
communicates.
now.
It just oozes creativity and creativity in ways that I wouldn't traditionally expect. Because even though it's like, yes, the zombies do spread the zombie plague,
Right.
I would not have expected poison to work on zombies.
Or the fact
why
that
not?
they have these plate things in
Yeah,
their necks from when they were buried,
Right.
which is put in there, I guess, specifically by the people who buried them, so that they have a way of counting specifically an incentive for how many that you've killed completely, like you've actually killed.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a great point.
That's why they're there.
I was figuring it was some kind of like custom or something like
No,
that.
no.
Back then,
They're buried
No,
with that
They
in them.
specifically do that because they're like, okay,
they
when
know
they get,
now that they're
right,
gonna be
that
raised
way,
up.
Yeah, that way they can incentivize
Yep.
people to actually do it. So
And track it without them cheating in some
right,
way.
and that way, and so they probably actually did put. Like the plates are probably actually made of something that's semi-valuable, So
at the very least, they're durable enough to survive potentially a blunt, or piercing bit of trauma from an axe of some kind.
Yeah. So, but then we get to the actual fight, and it's great. I love it. Like
3D can do some really cool stuff.
Yep.
Like the bit of hand-to-hand choreography between Caiman and Shin was awesome.
I think
awesome.
I think my favorite part of the fight was how he used the hammer.
Yeah.
Because okay,
I've never seen an anime character use a hammer
Yeah.
in a fight.
Like-
That seems like something a yandere would use.
sure, yeah.
But maybe it's a bit too practical for a yandere.
Yeah, maybe. Like it gave me it very much takes me back to like season 2 Daredevil, Punisher, Prison Escape.
Yeah,
But
sure.
the other thing that I really liked about it is the fact that they used the nail prong, like
To catch the knife
retriever
and break it.
things to catch the knife and break it, because that's like blade breakers. I'm pretty sure were very much a thing when like blades were like one of the traditional ways that you would fight, right? Because if you can break it, that's very helpful.
Yep.
So
Fight's over.
so using that bit of the hammer as like a creative thing of like not because otherwise like without it, it's like okay, you have a hammer, that's cool,
Right.
it's a nice aesthetic. But why would you specifically choose a hammer? Well,
It's not
actually,
very practical. Yeah.
it's not very practical. Well, no, there's a reason. Not just is it cheap and sturdy, but it's actually pretty useful.
Also, Shin-san is crazy.
Yes,
he's
that too.
actually
That
just
too.
crazy. There are things that he does and says and acts that give you the vibe of like, no, this guy's unhinged. Like he has issues. He has serious issues.
Oh, yeah.
His little thing of like, oh, yeah, that happened with them trying to catch him and then like kill him or whatever because they found out he was a sorcerer.
right.
He had sorcerer blood in him. He's like, yeah, I think everyone should go through that.
It's
Gives
a good
them-
experience.
Gives them some good guts, And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
bruh, no. That is kind of screwed up.
Oh
Like,
yeah, and then
you
the
were
part
a kid, right? Like, isn't that what he
I
said? That
believe
he was
so.
like he was like basically a kid when that happened.
I think so.
Because it was kind of one of those like, oh, we're gonna exposit to the audience while sitting and talking, When you were a normal living human.
Right, so it was back then. So at the very least, it was a while ago.
Oh, he said life back then was intense but fulfilling.
Yeah.
That is a very choice word there, given that he is eating, gorging himself on food as fast as possible in a contest, meaning that this life here is
maybe
not as fulfilling.
Right, and that's why he does all these things to try and get his kicks. But like, one of the other things so I'm glad you brought up that bit from Shin because yes, that was fantastic. My personal favorite bit from Shin this episode though, is when he's got the knife in him and he walks away and you're like, oh man, he's just leaving the knife in him. That's so badass. I love it. This crazy psycho, murdering
Enforcer,
enforcer
like,
guy.
not Yakuza.
Yeah, like this is awesome. And then he just boom. Just like
They have sorcerers that
Yes.
can bring people near back to life by dropping the egg that's inside them or
Into
what
the
have
goop,
you
yeah.
into the muck and goop.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Right.
a knife in his heart, he's like,
Well, and he's also
whatever.
crazy, so he's like, yeah, I'm tough, whatever, it's fine.
he likes the pain probably. He's like, oh,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
I love it. Yeah. More. You know?
But it's that wonderful balance that I feel like, again, anime really is just made
perfect
for
medium
doing.
for,
Yeah, the perfect medium for, of going from super serious to comedy on a dime.
Yeah.
Like, and it works. It works so well. And the comedy just gets better because it's set amidst all of these ridiculous, horrible things that are happening.
Also, I gotta say, a really smart thing about this really wacky kind of one-off little mini bit of the whole zombie apocalypse, the Day of the Dead and all that, is that when you have this just be a thing, and you don't try and set it up as if it's super serious, it's just another day, is that they're like, all right, we're doing this. And then you show things like the idea of the rewards and the cost associated with them. And just the fact that there are CDs,
Yep.
things that we recognize as just everyday items. But to them, it's like, it's the same usual shit as last year. Okay, it makes the world feel so lived in that is really hard to communicate in a fantasy setting. Because in a fantasy setting, one of the things that you can't really do is showcase how it would be lived in if there's nothing that feels super
Life needs things to
relatable to yeah, exactly, to what would occupy someone's day
Right.
in our world, in their world. So in Lord of the Rings, Lothlorien, for instance, doesn't feel lived in because you don't
Sure.
know what these elves do in their day-to-day lives while
But
here.
they're elves, you know.
Yeah, it's not important. We have
Right.
an epic story to
Right.
tell, but in this
then
one
with
we
like
have
the Shire, it's like, okay, yeah, you see how they live their life. Yeah.
right, exactly. You see them tending to their cow or something. But
Yep.
in this case here, we see like, oh no, potentially getting a CD. That's an incentive people will go and risk their lives killing zombies for.
Yeah.
That just tells you the kind of shitty world the whole is, basically.
Or for a meat grinder. Like, they're literally doing a meat grinder for a meat grinder. Like, I
I didn't even get that
Like-
pun. Oh my god, you're right.
like
Yes.
they are grinding to get a grinder.
Yep.
Like-
yes.
But also
So dumb. I love it.
just looking at these CDs here. Now maybe because, you know, this show is very like, you know, 3D and stuff with a lot of the things that it does. Not necessarily everything, but you know. So the CDs are actually, the thing that stands out to me is not just that the CDs are there, but they're in stellar condition. Now, that I want to know the story of these CDs.
I know. It's that kind of show. Yeah.
How did this person get not just like the random album that's like being kept, you know, in like good condition, but albums are kind of fragile, right? The plastic cracks really easily and stuff like
It's
that.
they're actually really like crappy prizes, and no one would even steal them.
Oh, sure. But like,
That's why he's like,
But, like,
I don't want any of this.
is there a place that still makes albums? Like, how does that work? Is it all just, you know, stuff left over from some other time and they found like a box of albums or something like that and they're just like, oh, cool, you know, we'll
Sure.
sell these. That if they're getting rid of albums, if they're having albums as prizes, that means that there are ways to play the albums.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
Like-
They
like-
showed a TV. They showed speakers.
Oh,
over
yeah,
there.
that's right.
There's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
kinds of media
Right.
things in here that are
But-
just like the regular world as
But
well.
this kind of stuff, it feels so weird to see in this world,
Right.
and yet I'm totally sold that the stuff is there. It doesn't feel like directly contradicting any of the like previous world building that we've had about whole and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So instead, it just makes me want to know what the explanation is, not question if there is a good explanation for it. Does that make sense? So I love it, and
Yeah.
and day in the life bits I love in general for these kinds of stories that have like crazy worlds and stuff, because it gives me a nice view on the characters, and to have a zombie apocalypse be one of them, yeah, awesome.
It's the kind of thing of where we then see, librarian Noi being like, I'm studying up on, zombies, but
Yep.
there's lots of stuff on how to kill them, but not really anything on curing them.
Yep.
But yeah, I wanted to show you again the thing on her forehead here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. it just has like a little number. She's like, you are number 764-96. Yeah. And then I believe back when we had her getting ready to head out once they, had geared up and everything.
And they heal her face.
Right, they heal her face. That
looked really cool, and they did that, by the way.
Let me find out exactly where it is. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, it is still there.
Okay,
it is still there on her head. Oh, that's funny. Okay, I thought that was something of like, this is my research subject. Yes, this one happens to be a zombie.
She just likes accessorizing her mask. That's just
Yeah. So let's talk about the out-of-body experience that this whole thing was for Caiman. So we had the literal horror stuff going on with the first-person perspective shift, the shaky cam, the flashlight,
literally
the
dark hospital hallway.
Yep. With the severed head.
Yep.
But it talked.
Yeah.
It
and
said
there
it's
was a
dark.
full form.
Yeah. Now, I want to say what's weird about this here is that none of them saw anything.
Nope.
They said they saw a shadow, but it doesn't make sense that this thing would happen in a way where someone outside of these three, meaning Caiman's potential being possessed kind of thing, is still included in this. Like that's all part of Caiman in my opinion.
Okay.
Meaning that this instance wasn't where someone else was watching them from afar.
Right.
This is something that either the head activated, Caiman did, the thing inside Caiman did, or the doc, or Nikaido. So
right, but
one of those 5 parties, basically.
Right, but I believe from the silhouette we could tell that it wasn't either of those 3. Maybe it could have been the doctor, but probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. And Caiman has a very distinctive silhouette, so, there's that.
Yeah, so it is probably the being inside of Caiman.
Right. Since, especially we've seen in some of his dreams, the being coming out of him and all that stuff. But also, this is one of the other... Okay, so this is a little bit of a tangential sort of jump thing that I'm making here.
Okay.
But given that we introduced Shin and Noi to Caiman and Nikaido, right?
Yes.
And there is the possibility that's being introduced of what if they were friends. Problem is, there's no reason for them to be friends now, right? In fact, every reason is for them to be enemies.
Yeah.
The only way that they could become even frenemies, really, is if there was something that was big enough that maybe they'd be able to forget their quarrels with each other for a little bit, and then maybe face a new threat or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily have to happen.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily have to happen. But because the other thing that I wonder is like, okay, there's Shin and Noi, and then there's N. What else do we do as far as like escalation of things? Because we don't know of anyone necessarily beyond N, right? And I don't know how long the story is like supposed to go.
The sorcerer that affected Caiman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So having something like this where now he can potentially get out, do what, be introduced into the story as a separate entity.
Well, yeah.
There's lots of potential there.
Right. That's why I wanted to bring up my theory that I talked about in the earlier bits of the discussion was that, or I actually might have said this even before the discussion started, that this is just Caiman. This is the point that they brought up earlier on in the show, is that Caiman doesn't know necessarily whether or not he's just the sorcerer. Like, he doesn't have any memories. He has no specific things other than the fact that he is probably 2 beings in one.
Right.
There is something that could be inside him still that he is terrified of.
Yeah, but if it's inside him, if it's a part of him, it is at the very least a like a split personality type thing or something similar.
Or just magic. I don't think you need to explain it in any crazy way other than functionally when this being becomes a problem, why would he leave Caiman now as opposed to any other time that he's been doing this for like a long time? He's getting something by Caiman going around and looking for sorcerers.
Right. So
thus, Caiman is serving the will of this being, whether he wants to or not right now.
Alternate take on it.
Okay.
So okay, the main options we have basically is that either way there's another will, right? Whether it's able to manifest itself into another quasi body or something, right? So that theoretically it could have been Caiman that was possessed into saying that or something like that. Who knows?
But that is a little bit of an assumption. It doesn't have to be that there's another will. It could be just Caiman.
Well, if that's the case, then we're getting an incorrect perspective on Caiman.
That's the thing, though. He's getting incorrect perspectives at times through his nightmares.
No, if he's getting incorrect perspectives, then that means there is some other will. Whether it's actually of another entity or it's some part of himself that he keeps hidden from himself in his subconscious or something.
Okay.
There's some.
I get what you're saying.
Schism, right?
Okay, sure. I won't debate semantics.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
go ahead.
From there, the other thing that we know is that when Nikaido found Caiman, it was a headless body.
Yes.
Now, that could be a couple things.
Right.
One, it could be that Caiman was already around before then, and then he lost his head, literally, right?
Yes.
And he was in his lizard form. He lost his lizard head, and then he got a new one.
Sure. That's possible.
This could have been the first time that that could have been when he got his lizard head for the first time. Right?
I think that's what's being implied.
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
And that somehow, for some reason, right, he was in a critical state or something, and then as a result of that, a defense mechanism, some sort of spell to save him, he ended up getting this lizard head, right?
Right.
And
regardless of whether it was from himself as being a
himself,
sorcerer,
exactly,
or someone else,
right? Somehow it
doing
happened,
something to him,
right? And it probably was what brought him into that place,
right? Because what was kind of funny that they didn't bring up was that when Nikaido saw Caiman showing up with the body bag over his head, we didn't see the head. So we didn't get confirmation as to what state exactly Caiman showed up in.
Right. And I'm guessing from how it was said, I believe that was, when she met Caiman
for the first time.
For the first time.
Yep.
So there came a point where, even though they didn't show it, where it's the take the bag off and then, oh, it's you. And then either he still hadn't gotten his head back or whatever, but that was him, and that was how they met. Right?
Right.
I believe.
Right.
Is what's being said up here.
I just find it a very curious choice story-wise to show the bag over the head and not have the
exactly.
reveal. It's like, why save that?
Yeah, the only thing that I can think is that if that's the case, that it's because there was no head at that point, but he was still walking around.
Right.
And that maybe that's why Caiman doesn't remember it.
Yep.
But that also...
That's what I think, too.
That also raises the question of... If that's the case, you would think that there would be some other memory loss or whatever when Caiman loses his current head.
No, not necessarily.
Well, run with me here for a little bit.
I'm running with you, but...
So, if he doesn't remember that event when it happened, maybe it was the intense trauma of the thing happening, or because he was dead at that point, so he was, he wasn't able to observe things because he didn't have a head to observe things, and that's why when Nikaido used her sorcery later, he didn't actually know that happened because he was dead, right?
Yeah.
But where do his memories and everything actually get stored? Because the idea...
In the brain that...
Yeah, you would think, but then there's a new brain. So how does that work, right? Because if it's the big thing that was sort of like my assumed explanation as for why there's a new will is because it's a new head, right? So you've got a new brain, so there you go, right?
Right.
But the brain was actually a normal brain, and
which means
he didn't change when he lost it. He got a new one just fine.
So what I think you're implying here is that there is a magical relationship between the being that is possessing quote unquote Caiman and the Caiman personality person that we know.
Yeah.
Meaning that is sustained beyond the loss of a head. Thus, therefore, it is stored, if you will, in something beyond just this head. Because the head is just a physical thing that, yes, should contain all the data that is Caiman. But if he lost his head...
Wouldn't he lose all the data? Except he didn't, so how does that work?
This is the reason why I think it's not just that. Is because... the being took the head, meaning that the head had something in
Right.
it.
So the head is valuable.
Very valuable.
But it wasn't the brain. That's the weird thing.
Well,
because
that's maybe the odd thing is that
because they took out the
timing
brain.
of it.
They took out the brain and there was no problem. It was when they opened the mouth that it started being an issue. And but the head was taken off. So maybe it's something where like if there's an entity inside him and it's like matching his physical body or whatever, maybe it's something where the head of the entity within him was taken off with his head as well. So then it was something where like miniaturized. I don't know how it works.
I really do think
magic spatial stuff. The spatial stuff on the inside of the mouth doesn't really match up with his mouth from the outside perspective. And you know,
part of my thing I think I'm feeling a connection with all the things here is that this sorcerer that affected Caiman, even if it is Caiman or isn't, which I still want to keep holding on to a little bit of the idea that this Caiman is the sorcerer. This is just a awkward way of a sorcerer trying to get immortality. And that is basically a new way of doing things beyond the way most sorcerers seem to survive beyond death, which is either crazy healing magic or egg in the goop.
Well,
now, however, given that there is something that is a additional will, as you coined it, I think that is a fine phrase to go at it here. The head being valuable, though, speaks to a break in the circle of life, if you will. We're going beyond just the usual cycle for sorcerers or what have you. This is oh no, we're generating something. It gets a little bit wacky. That's why I assume this sorcerer's goal is immortality.
And I think that could definitely be it, because one of the other things that was brought up this episode is the idea of using sorcery to heal. So
that's not new. I think that was brought up earlier, specifically with Noi. That was
it was mentioned that she would heal, but we saw the face actually getting recreated, right?
Oh, okay.
Now
with Ebisu, yeah,
right, with Ebisu. Now with sorcery, what we've got so far is that usually it's some kind of transformation of sorts. You know, we do have some exceptions, but like the fact that Shin can cut people up and have them still be alive, but primarily it's transmutative, but also that the effects end when the sorcerer dies, right? For everything that we know thus far. Given the fact that we were able to get something that essentially brought about, well, it feels like it is a thing that can give life in some way, shape, or form, whether it's different altered cells or giving skin back that is fully attached and everything, and incorporated into the head, into the face.
Which Noi said could potentially have. It'll take a while for her memories to unjumble, which is kind of interesting too.
Yeah, that is a very good question. Now that could be just because of the shock of losing your face. Right. But I can imagine that would be a bit interesting.
Your body's in survival mode because your nerve endings are all exposed and you're in constant agony or something. I don't know.
But if there's something like particularly important about like the state of heads and memories in this that's not tied to the brain, because it was the skin of the face, not the actual brain.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily the correlation.
But it very much gives me the vibes of that this is something that is definitely new as far as sorcery goes, because
or it's important. Yeah.
Well, yeah, sure, definitely important. But the fact that Caiman has his own sense of identity, even if he is actually coming from the sorcerer itself, we have a new head and
this is still
essentially
Caiman.
A new person.
Yeah, he is.
Right?
He is still 100% Caiman.
Right.
In terms of everything that we've seen thus far, there is no reason as to why. We should suspect that he lost something of himself when that head was separated from his body.
Right, and
because restored now, this is Caiman.
Right. And if the sorcerer is also Caiman, like this was the sorcerer's body and then whatever, by making that new head, he made a new person, almost. Like but the details of it exactly, measure out and stuff, with how they explain it.
But that's
we'll have to see. But
but that's why I think in some ways the head thing is more valuable in terms of the connection that it would have to the being. Meaning, like, could a sorcerer look at the head and see residual magical spells, sorcery of sorts that were used on it, and then be able to then determine what kind of relationship the sorcerer has with Caiman's head. And that's why it's valuable. It's not necessarily something in the head. It's the idea of, okay,
energy readings or,
however. So
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? But then on top of that, if the head's taken, does that mean that the entity has left Caiman, took the head while still being within Caiman, or some combination of the two? Like, is the entity now in that disembodied head? Is Caiman free now? Like, because the sorcerer is in the decapitated head that then left, like how does this work?
Oh, that would be a cool twist, is where he ends up going into battle against Shin and the sorcery affects him.
Yeah,
and he'll be like, whoa, why
bites
am I
someone's
getting...
head and they're like, no one showed up. What are you talking about? Maybe that's why this is the beginning of the story, is because this is when everything changes.
That's cool.
No one's been able to kill him before.
Right. That feels like something that we're going to get confirmed or unconfirmed basically in the next episode or two anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's a really cool one to kind of like, okay, let's put a pin in that and wait for the next fight where Caiman is fighting a sorcerer of any kind. Mm-hmm. Because if he gets affected by magic, if he doesn't have the thing with the head happen, that does correlate to that. And that does bring up potentially the idea of countering my theory that Caiman is the sorcerer, because the head, conjuring out
was able to split somehow, or
and I guess the dream in the beginning of the show with the being coming out of his mouth, like breaking his whole body to come
like
out
shedding
there.
a skin, basically.
This might have been the event for that, where he
maybe
bursts forth blood from his head.
Yeah, that was the other
thing.
There was so much blood coming from his neck. It almost felt like
I think that's a style thing.
It could totally be. It could totally be a style thing. But it gave me this sense of something was escaping.
Yeah, I feel like that's reading
that might be reading
too much into
way too much into it.
Because this is just a really gory, violent, bloody show.
That is very true.
The zombies have blood, Jacob. Like, the zombies had tons of blood in them.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Okay.
Yeah. And especially if they've been sitting in there for a while.
Well, yeah, and it certainly wouldn't be pressurized, but then the same thing, they're hitting them so hard. Yeah.
Yeah. It's style. I mean, it could be, but...
Well, the extreme physics of what's happening here means that weird shit would happen. A hammer might become one of the best weapons ever.
Magic do be crazy.
Yeah, magic do be crazy, so...
And that is a fun kind of premise for the story that you just have to accept, is just... Magic's crazy, thus everything is crazy
in
this world.
Apparently just people in general are crazy, because either that's magic that like helps them be that strong, or it's just, one of those anime type things of you have people that are able to are superhuman,
I think either one works.
Either one works, yeah.
Either one works.
Yeah.
I mean, all the characters in this show are actually pretty thick. Like, they're all
definitely
packing a lot of muscle.
There's no teeny tiny anime,
Ebisu.
That's true.
Ebisu,
although Ebisu, well, right, but what I was gonna say was no tiny figures that also display ridiculous
superhuman
brutish strength.
That's true.
Maybe Ebisu will, do that one of these days, but so far, no. When she was trying to eat Fujita, he was able to, stiff armor.
Freaking Ebisu just is having the worst life possible. I can't wait to see why she's being kept around in the story.
Right.
Because I'm like...
Why she's, special, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, why she's given a name,
Sure.
It's like, oh, no. Ebisu will be very relevant on episode 9 or something. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. But for now, poor Ebisu. No luck in that regard.
Yep.
But, the mystery deepens. Shin is not the one.
Nope.
Noi is... Oh, wow. Ooh. Noi. And then Nikaido is a sorcerer.
Yeah.
And is not telling Caiman that.
But she was about to.
She was about to.
And then I liked how that was handled, because yes, she's taking the leap of faith, and she's gonna trust him and everything. And there's almost this sense of like, does he almost know already? Kind of, maybe, sort of. But then as far as the distraction that keeps her from saying that, oftentimes when that happens in shows, I don't get fully convinced of the distraction that it would completely push that thing from the person's mind. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, something weird happens, but then 10 minutes later, you'd still be like, oh, by the way, there was this thing that was really important to me. I wanted to tell you. No. After something as crazy as this, it would definitely be out of her mind. Like,
Yeah. And yet she doesn't actually tell him that. She tells him about the backstory bit, which is more kind of a nice thing for the audience to kind of have as well. Then we get a little bit more context.
oh, that's
there.
right. Yeah, she wasn't going to tell him that she's a sorcerer.
Right.
She
It
told
felt
him.
like she was going to.
Right,
But then she chose to say this.
Yeah.
And I think what they're doing here is kind of reminding us of what another narrative premise or narrative structure thing that they're going to do in the story is, that we'll constantly revisit that scene
Probably.
or that event from different perspectives and get little bits of extra info here and there.
Oh, boy.
At the very least, we've gotten it for Caiman and Nikaido, which is in and of itself a thing. But then there's possibility that, you know, some of the other characters are going to have some more info in that regard. And
Yep.
by the way, I remembered why Ebisu is important.
Oh,
is that
yeah.
Ebisu has a very specific
Right.
lizard transformation
Yes.
magic
That's
that
right.
might be relevant with regards to her memories once we can finally get a hold of those.
Yep.
And then En, Shin, and
Right.
Noi, Fujita, and all of them will be able to give inquiries to that regard. But problem is now Ebisu's a zombie, so we can't do that. Anyway,
gotta fix
we
that
gotta
first.
heal her again.
Yep.
So the gag might be that Ebisu has the answers to all the plot right
But
there.
for reasons
but keeps
and such.
dying, keeps losing memories, keeps
Yep.
having to go through this stuff all and over again. And it might be more of just a comment on what sorcerers have to go through rather than
sure.
actually a gag, because we see
Right.
so many stitched together aspects of all the people in this show where it's like, yeah, they've all died, been reassembled,
Done crazy stuff.
mortally wounded, torn apart, eaten, and yeah, they're still walking and talking and stuff like that.
Sometimes they fall over, but, you know, yeah.
Right. Yeah, Blade to the Heart still does nearly kill someone
Right.
in this world.
It is a pesky thing that way. But one of the other things
Mortality.
that I absolutely loved, and this is probably this is my last thing from this episode, but
Mm-hmm.
En with his motorcycle that's also a broom.
And is infused and fueled by the
By
smoke
sorcery?
magic, you know, the sorcery.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he's going to, this isn't like a thing that he's purchasing and it's like, yes, this is my new toy. No. He's going to start producing these things and they have his shroom logo. Yeah. Why not?
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I love it. Sure.
God, there's so many goofy, wacky things in this show that the mystery, scary, existential kind of aspect of it for Caiman at times feels kind of, you know, subservient to
Yeah.
how just zany everything is. To where I'm like, I just want to have a fun, wild ride here. But then I'm like, no, I'm gonna
hold on.
hyper
Yeah.
focus and analyze on all these like specific things and maybe get caught up in the kind of things like I think you accidentally did with the blood spurting forth. It's like something was getting set free. I'm like, I can see what kind of mindset I would have to be in to think that. So I understand it. But I think that's one of those things of where you're like, how do I
How much do I read into things?
yeah, how much do I hold in tandem with the crazy stylized violence and
Yep.
crazy humor and all world building and stuff to crazy dark mystery about whether or not we are really, you know, who are we? Is the soul a thing? Like, are we going to get into some?
Is it
you know-
commentary on the commercialism of you know the things that we do in our lives and the dangers we put ourselves through to make a quick buck with the zombie apocalypse, getting the plates and stuff? Who knows?
Yeah,
it
how
might
much
be.
will we tear ourselves to pieces, sacrifice?
That's right.
Stitch ourselves back together constantly in order to find who we are.
Yep.
I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
next time on Dorohedoro, we'll learn what
boy.
the 97th curse is, you know,
That's right. That's
at that point. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general. Also, be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
Yes, info's in the description. We stream Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time for each of those days. Mondays, we do podcasts. Tuesdays, One Piece dramatic manga readings. Wednesdays and Fridays, Caleb's gaming.
Yeah, I'm playing Hades right now.
And then Thursdays, I'm playing Persona 4 Golden.
Yes, if any that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.